What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Comically Boston. Today is episode 131, back on another Monday. Today's President's Day. Shout out to all the presidents, except for that one that we all know. But this week was an interesting week, and I want to cover just a couple things that I missed from last week. A couple trailers that I forgot to mention. There was a trailer for a Twisters, I don't know if it's a sequel or just like a reboot type of deal, but it kind of feels like a sequel in its own way, but it kind of a standalone. But the original Twister with Bill Paxton, I was a big fan of as a kid, and that new Twister with Glenn Powell, Hangman from Top Gun Maverick, and the handsome jacked man that's in Sydney Sweeney's rom-com Anyone But You. I've yet to see that, but that looks pretty good. I did just recently see Madam Web in theaters over the weekend. That was interesting to say the least. But as far as trailers from last week, there was also a Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes trailer that looks pretty good that I was, excited to see. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm trying to understand if it's completely separate from the Matt Reeves Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes with Caesar and Andy Serkis. I think it's separate, and I think it's set way years after that, but I don't know if it will connect at all, but I'm curious to see if it does. There was also a trailer that just released over the last week for Godzilla Kong, The New Empire, and that just looks like it's going to be just epic amounts of fun between two giant apes roaring at each other, and some people have been calling it a bisexual monster movie, which I think is hilarious. Maybe Godzilla and Kong will fuck. No, probably not. But let's get into a little bit of sports before we talk about everything else I want to talk about. The Celtics last week had a game versus the Nets on Tuesday. We beat them in Brooklyn, 118-110. Jason Tatum had a big game. He had 41 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a block, and I'm pretty sure he didn't play most of the fourth quarter. And then the following night, and the second night of a back-to-back, we went to Boston to face the Nets again, and we ended up beating them 136-86, and Peyton Pritchard went off, and our starters didn't play most of the fourth. I don't think Jaylen Brown played. But speaking of Jaylen Brown, he was in the dunk contest. He did not win. He came in second place to Mac McClung. Shout out Mac. That boy's vertical is way too high for a white man. But he's on a G League team, right? So he had like a G League jersey on instead of like a NBA jersey. It's shocking that they even let a G League guy into the All-Star NBA dunk contest. You know what I mean? I guess because he won last year, and now because he won this year, maybe they'll have to bring him back for next year. But I don't know. The dunk contest just doesn't hit the same as it did when I was a kid. And Jaylen Brown did some good dunks, but at the same time, I was like, man, his in-game dunks are so much more ferocious. And like, I felt like, they were good, but I felt like he had some more ferocious dunks that he could have done. And like, I don't know, lobs, jumping over people, that's cool and all that, but like, we've seen all that. I almost wanted like Brown to be like, hey Tatum, throw me a lob, but when you throw it, jump like you're going to block me, and then just let me dunk all over your face. Like that's what Jaylen Brown's really good at. And as far as like best dunker in the league when it comes to posterizing people, I think Jaylen Brown's at the top of the list. There's probably a couple other guys in that list, but he's definitely up at the top. And, it's a shame that he didn't get to win, but Jason and Jaylen both played in the All-Star game. Jason started. Brown came off the bench. I think Brown had like 30. Tatum had like 20-something. And the East All-Stars ended up picking up a dub. So that's a cool $500,000 that goes into either one of their pockets and on the winning team. So, hey, shout out them. But as far as the All-Star weekend, I felt like it could have been better. Dame Lillard won the All-Star Game MVP. He had also won the three-point contest the night before. So, he was maybe just feeling good. But, it is what it is. Moving on to some headlines. I was just talking about Godzilla vs. Kong, so here's the new poster for them. I like that Godzilla is like pink now. I'm curious to see if they tell us why he changes from blue to pink energy and what that means. But Kong also has like an Infinity Gauntlet brace on his hand. Maybe his hand gets hurt or something, and this helps him, or maybe this is just like a power-up type deal. But we also see helicopters, and I don't know if the helicopters are trying to flee the scene of these two giant monsters. In theaters March 29th, Godzilla x Kong. the new Empire. So I don't know what that's going to be about, but as far as the things I've heard, I'm not going to spoil you guys here. Things that I've heard about this movie, I think that's going to be an epic battle between the monsters, and that's going to be crazy. And here's an image of the two from the trailer, an image taken from Empire magazine, an Empire exclusive. It looks like they're in Egypt. Maybe they just tore down the pyramid. It looks like the Sphinx in between them in the background, but Godzilla not powered up, and Kong not powered up, not fighting each other, just, you know, have a nice little standoff with a couple little roars and interesting stuff. But here's what I really want to talk about. Last Monday, I talked about the Fantastic Four and the cast that wasn't confirmed yet, but I thought was going to be the cast, and I was absolutely 100% correct, and it ended up getting confirmed on Valentine's Day. And I think Marvel was trying to drown Sony's Madam Web, because they came out with the trailer for Deadpool 3, they came out with the Fantastic Four, and then they came out with X-Men 97 trailer, which, you know, so now people are talking about 3 other Marvel projects instead of the one that's in theaters currently, and I don't know, it felt too easy. But here's how they announced the Fantastic Four, with a Valentine's Day card, and you see Pedro and Vanessa Kirby as Reed and Sue Storm over there on the right. You see Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm in the middle, and then you see obviously Ben Grimm the Thing on the left, and we know that that's going to be EBONMOSS-BACHRACH, cousin from the Bear. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. I just finished the Bear recently, and that was awesome, so we're going to talk about that after in the What You Watching section of the show. But you can see the picture of him as an astronaut on the wall, so we see that that's Ben Grimm. He's reading a magazine that has, I believe, Nixon or one of the presidents on it from 1963, so maybe that's Marvel teasing that this is going to be an older Fantastic Four, maybe a time-traveling Fantastic Four. They were in the 60s, they went to space, they came back, and now it's 2024 type of deal. I don't know, but there's also a futuristic robot there getting Ben his coffee, and that is a character from the comic called Herbie. And people are very excited about it. I do think the logo for the Fantastic Four, you know, kind of reminds me of like that first couple episodes of WandaVision, you know, where it was like the old 60s style Dick Van Dyke type of deal logo, you know, and this just is, you know, as far as the Fantastic Four, if this is the logo that they choose, and they choose these outfits with the blue and the stripes with the white boots, I'm into it, you know, like it's far more stylized than any of the other Fantastic Four has been. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited for Matt Shakman to take this and hopefully do some real good stuff with it. And, you know, a lot of people are saying the age gap between Reed and Sue, Pedro and Vanessa Kirby, they're questioning, but I don't know. They're looking too far into it, I think. Speaking of looking too far in, some people were bitching about this picture. They released another Valentine's Day Deadpool and Wolverine picture with the two hands doing hearts, and one of them's obviously Deadpool's hand and one of them's obviously Wolverine's hand, but people were mad because his yellow glove isn't the same glove that Wolverine had in the pictures that we saw. He has blue on his glove. I'm like, so maybe this is a variant of Wolverine and he has all yellow gloves. Stop bitching. You know, like, that's such a minute little detail. They're like, well, the glove's not blue. It's a fake thing. You know, like, it's a fake little Valentine's Day post. They're not trying to make sure it's perfect. You know, it's just a cute thing they released. But speaking of cute things they released, X-Men 97 released this picture saying that they're going to be dropping their new show, well, technically their new season, new episodes, new era, of X-Men 97. I've been rewatching the original X-Men 97. I gotta say, at least the costumes and the design of it is really good, but the storyline's kind of really great. You know, like, there's Days of Future Past stuff in there. There's tons of stuff that, like, the movies kind of were inspired by, but they did it in the comics or in the animated show, and it was great. But I love how they did the, you know, different characters on each individual VHS sleeve. You know, like, there's kids out there that probably saw this picture and was like, what the hell is a VHS? Like, and for those kids, screw you, because you are too young. But I know all about Mr. VHS here, and I love the little animation that they're doing now. They have a whole nother title, right? So we have Marvel Special Presentations now. We have the Disney Plus shows, stuff like Echoes under Marvel Spotlight banner. And now we're going to have another banner called Marvel Animation, which is going to be either its own thing, right? So we're gonna do specifically animated universe, or it's going to be like just Marvel stuff that is animated that's also ties into the main stuff. I don't know, but I picture X-Men 97 not being canonically tied to the MCU timeline that they're on right now. I picture it being its own thing. Like, I don't think these guys are now the X-Men, you know what I mean? But I still think the show you probably will want to watch, because then maybe they're the X-Men in an alternate universe, maybe like a parallel universe type of deal. But yeah, here's the poster for X-Men 97. You see all the characters on there: Jean, Cyclops, Jubilee, Rogue, Beast, Gambit, Wolverine, Storm, Bishop, and then this guy on the left is either Caliban or Morph. We're not really quite sure yet, but I think it's one of those two guys. But here's the biggest problem that I saw from the X-Men 97 trailer. And I kind of agree, but I kind of also think it's just people being crazy. They're like, they made it woke, they hate it. And people are hating on the X-Men 97 on Twitter and making YouTube videos about it. They're so woke now, it's terrible. This is the one flaw that I saw, right? Because the old X-Men 97 had Rogue looking like this. And she was thicker than a brick of Snickers. And now the new Rogue looks like this. Oh, no cheeks at all. What happened? What did they think? They had to not sexualize their animated characters like they did in the comic books? Well, obviously X-Men 97, the original ones, knew what they were doing, because Rogue was hot as hell, and she kind of sounded like Dolly Parton, you know, and I always thought it was funny, because when I was watching the animated show, I'm like, man, this Rogue's kind of cool. The Rogue we got in the movies was kind of like a shy, weird, standoffish kind of girl. This Rogue's cool as hell. She flies, she does cool shit, she sounds like Dolly Parton, kicking ass. Like, why the fuck not, right? Shit's wild. A rumor has been going around that a Midnight Suns series is in the works, and it's going to be headed by Werewolf by Night director Michael Giacchino, which I would enjoy, because Michael Giacchino is also a composer, and he really, you know, would bring a really good soundtrack to that movie. So, you know, if we're getting like a Doctor Strange, Blade, Werewolf by Night, Man-Thing, Moon Knight, and we're bringing all those guys into like a team-up movie in Midnight Suns, and it's under Michael Giacchino, I'm here for it. I really am. But as far as 2025 movie releases go now, with Fantastic Four getting slid in there for sure now, it's looking like we have Captain America, Brave New World, which is, I don't know why this picture says New World Order. That's the old title. But we're going to get Brave New World, Captain America 4, The Fantastic Four, James Gunn's Superman Legacy, Matt Reeves' The Batman 2, Thunderbolts, and then a Blade movie, all in 2025. Like, that sounds like a crazy year, considering in 2024 the only Marvel movie we're really getting is Deadpool 3, and then we're gonna get a bunch of Sony shit like Madam Web, Kraven, Venom 3. So, you know, like, I hope this year goes smoothly for Marvel, but I don't think it's gonna go so smoothly for Sony. But after Madam Web, man, I'm really hoping to the point where Sony just loses every ounce of dollars that they have in making movies, and they have to sell back Spider-Man to Marvel, you know. But I don't know if it will ever happen, but that's definitely a hope. Alright, let's get into some what you've been watching. Recently, I have yet to continue on my Daredevil rewatch. There has been more and more leaked set photos, but the ones I've been seeing were a little too spoilery, so I'm not going to talk about them. But man, some of the stuff that we've been seeing from them shooting in New York is some wild stuff. The Punisher, you know, stuff like that I'm like, oh, you know, like, it had my eyes dropped, but I was like, I don't know if I want to spoil that for the people. Maybe if people want to talk about it, but I'm not just going to spoil it right away. But I'm continuing on that, but I figured I got some time. Daredevil season whatever, Daredevil Born Again is not going to come out till next year probably anyways, maybe even 2026. So, you know, I got some time on that rewatch. But I did just finish The Bear recently, and they're currently shooting season 3. So season 1 was great, and then I immediately jumped into season 2, and I watched all 8 episodes of season 2 pretty damn quick. But episode 2, Pasta, episode 3, Sunday, episode 4, Honeydew, episode 5, Pop. The actress that plays Tina, I don't know her name, but Tina sings in that episode, and it's fucking It's beautiful. You're like, because this lady at the very beginning is like a hard bitch, and by the end she's like happy, she's smiling, she's singing, she's really getting like a spark in her soul that's like getting her into cooking again and realizing that she really loves this shit. It's really good. And then we finally see Richie take a turn for the better, and he buys into this new restaurant idea and buys into the restaurant business in episode 6, or actually episode 7, Forks, when Richie buys in. But episode 6 is a crazy episode in season 2. The family 7 fishes Christmas episode is episode 6, and that one's nuts. That one got my heart rate and my stress levels way high. And this show does a very good job of getting your stress levels way too high. And then episode 7 was great. In episode 8, the finale, Bear. The Bear finally gets to open for its first night of friends and family. It hasn't even really been open for guests yet, and they're starting to run great, and things just keep going wrong, and they successfully get through the evening, but poor Carmen gets locked in the freezer, and he accidentally says some things that he doesn't mean, but he's just so stressed out that he needs to get it off of his chest and out of his head, and Claire hears it, and it's a mess, and I've really felt bad for him. And I think at the end of the episode he might even still be in there, like trapped in there, and they were just getting him out. So maybe season 3 of The Bear picks up with him getting out of the freezer and running to Claire or whatever. But I don't know what this season 3 is going to be about, but it's got to be nuts. But through season 2, I definitely can see why that show won so many awards. And shout out to Jeremy Allen White, I think that's his name. But the guy that plays Carmen, he's very good. And the whole cast in the show's unbelievable. The cast in just that episode 6, Fishes, that Christmas episode, there's people in that you're like, they got these guys just to do one episode? Like, this is insane. Insane, the cast that they could bring together. But I finished that, so that's really good. Check that off my list. Now I started The Reacher with Alan Rickson. And I got through episode 1 last night, and I was like, the whole time I'm like into it, and I'm like, man, this is kind of like a murder mystery type of deal, but we're trying to figure out what his deal is in all this. And then the episode 1 ends, and you're like, damn, that was a solid fucking episode 1. Now I gotta continue on and see if the rest of the show is good. But you know, maybe it will be, maybe it won't be, but that's now on my list. The Reacher season 1, episode 2 is now on my list of my up next. And stay tuned this week. We have a bunch of movie reviews coming your way. Hitch, Alien Resurrection, Next Goal Wins, the new Taika Waititi movie that came out last year. Pirates of the Caribbean. Obviously, I'm going to talk about Madam Web. So stay tuned for tomorrow. We're going to talk about Madam Web first. And then I got another couple surprises coming this week. So stay tuned, y'all, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Please smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you made it this far in the video, please drop some movie recommendations down in the comment section below, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Peace.